Well, that's what broke up the rap groups anyway. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
if you got 5 guys, who have to be part of the contract, then that money comes down. They got to go make that money somewhere else.
Do you think we've already seen the last of hip hop groups? Like that's no longer, you don't see that ever kind of coming back? I mean, I know we have the Migos, their group, their hip hop group, but like there used to be a bunch of y'all. Now it's like, nah.
Yeah, that's the sad aspect, that the groups was what made hip hop hang out and rank with the rock groups. Because in rock, it's clear. Bass player, guitar, maybe 2 or 3 guitarists, drummer, vocalist, maybe a keyboard and like 80s rock and all that. Clear. Hip hop, you got MCs, DJ, Public Enemy brought along, like the S1Ws, the Griff, and James Brown, and people like that. That's part of the group. Did they actually vocalize anything? No, not really, but that's part of the group dynamic. Live, Flavor has his own thing. It's primarily just me and the DJ making it work. But that's your point guard to the center. That's Magic to Kareem. It's like, you remove that, they ain't happening. That's Isaiah and whoever else.
Bill Laimbeer.
Bill Laimbeer. Right, exactly. Yeah. When you remove that, you ain't got it. But the group dynamics, is what made hip hop at its best when it was live. One person, you got to be like, how many Stevie Wonders of hip hop do we have? I mean, Nas, Jay-Z, but really it wasn't meant for one MC to hold your attention for 2 hours. You got to be phenomenal, and the phenomenal people we heard of. But I don't think hip hop and rap music was meant to be a one dude thing, especially if you take away the DJ too. Now you just got one person up there. That's Bob Dylan. But at least Bob Dylan had a band, and Bob Dylan could play, so he could actually get up with the harmonica and come up with. But it take a hell. I mean, Prince is a dude that can step up there by himself and make it all happen and orchestrate things. That's why in R&B and people like that, that's what made you get awestruck. They made the audience awestruck, and that's what hip hop did. Remember in the beginning of hip hop, they had to compete against the Princes, Michael Jackson, Hal Melvin, and the Blue Notes Glass Knight, and the Pips. They had to compete against that music out of the 70s. So to get the attention, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, they had to be able, and then Run DMC, DJ Jam Master Jay is like a band. And it's like they competed with those by showing activity and energy all in synchronization. We did the same thing. Dougie Fresh taught us, Houdini taught us, and we had to figure out what worked for us. We could not do what Dougie Fresh and Houdini and Run DMC did, or Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Everybody had to find their own dynamic. You had to prove yourself live. So groups were a big part of that, being panoramic. When you don't have the live events stand out as much and people go to their phones and stuff like that, then you got a lot of tricks that fill the void. Video, TikTok and all that stuff could kind of fill the void of what used to have to be done by 5 people. Now one person could do it and be 5 people, I guess. But these are different generations, and every generation got its own rule of what they think is right and hot or whatever. I just challenge generation. I say, cool. Don't leave your favorite act there. I don't want to see you cross over into your 30s and saying you dumped your favorite group from your 20s because you realize how they weren't. So hang on. Because I said in our age categories, cats still love us and what we do, how we do it all around the world. You hang on to your favorites and hope that they hang on with you. And so that's the biggest challenge. It's like every act has to turn out its generation. Just like everybody, when you put something out there, you're going to run into somebody that's going to challenge you on what you put out there. You could call it karma. If you call yourself the most whatever in the world, you're going to find somebody out there, the fan base, that's going to be more than that than you. So just be ready to embrace it, hug it, and be appreciative of it.
Yeah, in R&B, I think the R&B group dynamic is definitely dead. Like, you don't see, and I think that some of that is also the money split. You know, when you watch TV shows like Unsung or any kind of look back, they all break up for the same reason. It's like it comes down to the money and the ego, and like a lot of people don't want to deal with all of that in a group dynamic. So those days are probably extinct on that side.
Well, that's what broke up the rap groups anyway. It's like, okay, if you got 5 guys, you know, who have to be part of the contract, then that money comes down. They got to go make that money somewhere else. You got to open up all those activities and all those opportunities. It can't be based on a contract or on a live gig. If you take the live gigs away and you take the contracts away and you paying pennies on the stream, then you have individuals. But the thing is that what's happened also in the music and hip hop, not to get long-winded about it, you've had collabs. And when collabs take place, that's sort of like having a group, because your group is a collab. So that's what happened even on the Fight the Power 2020. Each one of those situations have their own situation, have their own people coming in. So you collab up. The biggest thing that I think that we can learn is further the collab thing more is bring more young energy in there so they could bring young energy through. But you got to be true to the craft. You got to also look at this thing as something not to play with. It's like when people in sports, they know you can't play with the game. When you play with the game, you're going to be going home, sitting your ass home saying, oh, this is what I did. Same thing with arts and culture. You can't play with arts and culture. You got. If you're gifted to be on that platform, on that stage, you give 1,000%. If you make your music as an artist, you have a right as an artist to make whatever you want to make, whatever. I've always told people, I said, if one person buys my thing, or I'm not in the business to sell records. I'm not no cash register. I'm not like, I'm pressing money in my basement. No, I make them. What happens will be because of a business structure that will make that, and I know how I'm figured in that. But if I'm live in front of an audience, I have 1,000% obligation to give 1,000% and bust my ass for that crowd. There is no ifs, ands, and what's about. There's no lazy road there. You can make whatever you want to make and be big-headed about what you make, and people buy it or not buy it or support it or whatever. But when you're in front of that audience, you got to give it to them. And you got to, things in my mind, I'll be hitting the stage, Jemele, and I'll be like, damn, what would Alonzo Mourning do if he's going up for a block? I'm telling you, I'll be thinking about like, all right, I'm Alonzo Mourning blocking a shot. I'll be like coming in an arena hardcore thinking like that. So, I mean, these things are meant to be integrated in the public to give the public energy, but you got to always support the public, bring them together, and try to strive for the positive.
So would you ever consider doing a Verzuz?
Doing
Public
what?
Enemy doing a Verzuz, like they just did Monica and Brandy. Would you ever do a Verzuz?
Swiss Beats been asking me, but the first person that asked me this, and I got to be true to my man, Willie D from the Ghetto Boys. He asked me back in the day, and I said, well, I don't like to even be exposed on social media because I'm Facebook Live, TikTok out, Zoomed out, and all that. But I will pick my spots. When I heard Jemele Hill had to do, I said, well, you know what? I got to do Jemele Hill's show. I don't like to be seen. I like to be heard. But I do feel in Triple OG, I want to be heard, and I want to be heard, but I want to be seen less and less. So that's something like, you know what? Flavor should do it. He Public Enemy. Flavor go up there and do Verzuz for Public Enemy.
Represent for the whole. Chuck, you gotta have both of y'all. Like it don't work the same.
So you seen a Verzuz with 2 people and one person?
No, but usually you may see one, but like they did do groups. Like they did 112 and I forgot who else.
So when does Flav give me the 25% effort? Shouldn't he go out there and do Verzuz?
Yes, but you need to do it with him. It was 112 versus Jagged Edge.
Everybody always put me to work. It's like, you know what, Chuck, we need you. Well, Chuck, we need you to do. It's like, damn, man.
Public Enemy versus the Ghetto Boys. What?
That's what I said. If I ever had to do it, I can't do it somewhere else. When I told Will, I said, yo, Will, I don't know. Because Will told me before everything started. He said, Chuck, listen, dog, for real, I know you don't like to show your face on social media, man, but Willie D, Chuck D, the Ghetto Boys and Public Enemy it'd be right, man. I said, Will, that sounds like I did. And then everything started popping up. So for me, yo, man, Will boxes. You know, Will do the thing, right? I don't want my brother Willie D to do the deal on me, man. It's like, Will, you know. And I'm good at dunking and all that, but Will is the man.
Y'all both on. They like Verzuz shit.
If I ever do it, I gotta promise Will that I would do it with him, because I can't do it with nobody else. If I don't do it with Will, then that's violating. That's violating what we talked about way before everything, Jemele. And I know Will is probably gonna watch this, and Will's like,
I got you. Look, it will all be in there within context. Although I'm trying to, it works well. The Verzuz works well when it's like groups in a similar kind of lane. So I'm just trying to think of who was in Public Enemy's lane that would be, kind of the perfect.
Well, somebody said, although it's two generations, but Wu-Tang and PE, we come from a different era. Where we came from a different era where we had songs and singles that came like this, boom, boom, boom.
Right. I think the styles kind of match though a little bit though.
And Wu-Tang come from an angle, they swarm us killer bees. So you got Ghostface coming out of here, and then you can't compete with that. They're like, what the you got?
I mean, Jizza out they got about six
then you got Wu. I mean, listen. Competing against Wu-Tang in rap is like back in the day, people competing against Parliament Funkadelic. You got Bootsy, you got Brides of Frankenstein, you got now it's even those groups back then to tell you, when we got on stage, we was this, but yo, man, Parliament Funkadelic, man, they just was the bomb. They destroyed, they put 1,000 people on stage with a purpose, So anyway, it'll be interesting. So
well, maybe one day we'll see it.